Okay, welcome, guys. Welcome back to another live training. In this live training, we'll be talking about what I call the prime. We'll be talking about the shippers. We'll talk about the brokers, and more specifically, we'll be talking about the dispatchers. The reason why I said more specifically we'll be talking about the dispatchers because this channel is dedicated for the people who are interested in becoming, truck independent freight dispatchers. We also will be talking about the carriers, and I know you guys have, questions. If you have those, please have those questions ready, and then we'll be going over those questions. Real quick, let me go ahead and show you what I'm going to, talk about today. This is basically the framework how I do these live training, and then we also talk about the two main aspects in the being an independent freight dispatcher. If you go into the dispatching, what you need to learn, and then we'll talk about more in details about the skill being there is a concept, there's tools, and then there's load boards. We'll be talking about these as well, and then we'll move on to the business aspect, and I'll talk about a little bit of the pay community that we have if you want to learn this in depth. Then obviously how this all interconnected, meaning shippers, dispatchers, brokers, carriers, how these loads are being made, and how these brokers actually posting these loads onto these load matching platforms. We call them load boards, right? So a lot of good stuff. And then we will talk about the dispatchers, how these people work with brokers. We'll talk about the carriers. I have specific numbers, going into details, obviously, and then we'll put these all together. And then at the end, we will have some, important questions that I pulled from my community. At the end, I have something amazing, to share with you. I'm not going to show it here, but then, if you stick with me, I have the special invitation for you. So let's go back and start talking about these prime movers. The reason why we call these prime movers is because shippers, brokers, dispatchers and carriers, these people moving the US economy. So you will learn a lot of things, about these people, obviously. Let me go back and start talking about the prime movers. So before we get into details, welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Kamal, and we have communities and courses where we teach people how to become independent freight dispatchers. So the format for this specific live training, there will be 5 minutes, obviously chit chat, showing you the structure, the slides. Think in terms of like a preview, right? And then we'll move on to like showing you the juicy stuff, right? The teaching, the showing good stuff with you. It will be about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. The benchmark is 40 minutes, right? And then obviously in 15 minutes, we'll do the Q&A. Whatever questions you have, how to find carriers, how to start, independent freight dispatching, anything that, hey, how to become a broker, like talk to me about the social media. Let's say getting carriers from social media, how I do that. Talk about, sales funnels, whatever the questions you might have, I'll take those. So in this training, obviously, we're talking about the prime movers. If you are interested in becoming an independent freight dispatcher, there's two main aspects: the skill aspect and then business aspect. If you are interested in becoming an independent freight dispatcher, maybe you watch a couple of videos on the internet and you're thinking like, okay, I want to go into becoming a dispatcher. There are a lot of people teaching how to become independent freight dispatchers. You get excited and then like, okay, the first thing I need to do is create an LLC. Wrong. You don't need to create an LLC. Although I talk about like independent freight dispatchers, they need LLC, but not right off the bat. Right? When you just fairly new, you don't know anything about dispatching, you don't know how to use a load board. And I'm not talking about using a load board, meaning finding loads, booking loads, and dispatching loads. It's very, very important to understand this. We will talk about the two main aspects, the skill aspects first. The reason why I divided this into two, aspects, because you need to get to know ins and outs of the dispatching, meaning the concept, the business model, how it works. Yes, you're becoming an independent freight dispatcher, then don't be confused with working remotely. And then obviously being an independent freight dispatcher running your independent freight dispatching agency. This is where the business aspect comes in. A lot of people get confused, obviously, and then they start with an LLC. Hey, I need an LLC. I want to start with the LLC. They pay a bunch of money. Now they have an LLC. They're excited. But then, hey, I don't know how to dispatch. They don't feel secure enough, or they don't feel confident enough to go there and start talking to these carriers and saying, hey, I have a load board and I want to dispatch your trucks, right? And they don't know even how to sell it. So this is why we'll be focusing specifically on this channel. We'll be focusing on the skill aspect. Let's talk about the skill aspect. When I say skill aspect, learning dispatching, right? And then when it comes to learning the skill, first thing comes up to mind is the concept, how this independent freight dispatching agency works. And then being an independent freight dispatcher, how am I going to run my business, which is independent freight dispatching agency. It's a service-based agency. And then what are the tools that I'm going to use? TMS, what is TMS? The CRM, what is CRM? We talk about in this channel the ITS dispatch. What is ITS dispatch? Is it for the carriers? Is it for the dispatchers? And load board itself, it's a whole new world, right? The load board is like, we have different types of load boards. We have paid load boards. We have free load boards. We'll be talking about these in upcoming videos as well, meaning the live training. Today specifically, though, we'll be talking about or focusing on the concept. I have amazing slides and amazing training to share with you, and I have a lot of stuff to share. So on the business aspect, we're not touching the business aspect in this training, maybe in the future, in the upcoming videos. This is where you know how to dispatch. This is where you're packaging your services, putting it all together, and then pushing it into the market, saying, hey, carrier, I know how to dispatch. I'm running this independent freight dispatching agency, and hey, I want to dispatch your trucks, right? This is the business aspect. And again, business aspect, and we have this subcategories. Think about marketing, systems, and sales. There are a lot of subcategories, but these are the three main ones. Why? Marketing, this is where we will be, interacting with the carriers, with our leads. Think about social media on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. In my paid community, we specifically teach people how to get these people into our world from TikTok, but all the strategies and everything. But then what about email marketing? How many emails should I send to these people? What should I say? Well, first email, yes, I totally get it, needs to go immediately when somebody interacts with my content. But what should I say in that email? How many follow-up emails should be there? And then if somebody has 2, 3, 4 trucks to dispatch, now these people hiring more independent freight dispatchers or dispatchers in-house wanted to grow. This is where the paid ads comes in. So then systems, this is where the management, this is where the finance comes in, and then this is where the operation, the whole operation. So then sales, generating sales calls with these carriers, and then how to do these calls, what to say, what not to say, and then follow-ups. If somebody said no to me, then what am I going to do? If somebody said yes, then how am I going to follow up with them? So what's the next step? So this is the business aspect. It's totally different level, as you can see. When you separate these like skill aspect and the business aspect, now you know that, oh yes, I was focusing on the marketing aspect. Have you done that when you want to let's see, if you wanted to sell online, think about drop shipping. The first thing comes up to mind is, well, I need a website, right? I need a website, then I need my LLC, and then I put all these together and start selling it. But then you realize that you don't understand the concept, how this drop shipping works, right? Now, what am I trying to say with this is you don't even know what type of a product to sell, right? Very, very important. Now, moving on to the concept. Remember, we said that we will be focusing on the skill aspect. And then today, more specifically, there's 3 categories: concept, tools, and load boards. In this live, we'll be focusing on the concept. So in the concept today is the prime movers. Prime movers meaning the players in the supply chain. The first one, and then we'll be going one by one in details: the shipper, the broker, and dispatcher, and the carrier. We have the factoring companies, and then 2 other players. We're not going to talk in details in this video, although we touched a little bit the factoring companies later, later in the video. But then let's focus on the shipper. First, shipper makes stuff. Think about it that way. These people making stuff, whatever. Just look around right now. Whatever you see, these people made that stuff, right? Think about microphone. I have phone. I have lighting. Think anything. It has to be manufactured. Somebody needs to make these, right? Shippers also think in terms of like, okay, shippers / manufacturers. Think that way. Broker is the middleman between these manufacturers and the carriers. Why? Because shippers, they have stuff and they have customers. They made something, they need to, ship it. And then the carrier. And broker is in between, saying to shippers, hey, give me those loads, I'll assign to these carriers. We'll talk in details why do the shippers work directly with the broker, not with the carrier. We'll talk about, at the end. So then the dispatcher comes in. Dispatcher works with the carrier, and think like broker and a carrier, and then there's a dispatcher. Dispatcher teams up with the carrier, and broker teams up with the shipper. But they all make money. In this case, dispatcher is an independent freight dispatcher. This is not a freight dispatcher that works. Think about the employment opportunity. It's not an employment opportunity. This is a business opportunity. This dispatcher works himself and is an independent freight dispatcher running independent freight dispatching agency. So to remember this picture, read this. Shippers makes the deal. Broker steals the deal. A little bit funny. Dispatcher seals the deal. Carrier keeps it real. Remember this. And these are the 4 prime movers, and then we will be talking about in details. Like shipper, as I said, these are the people manufacturing stuff, packaging it, and now they have a bunch of loads, right? Hundreds of thousands of loads. They have customers already bought these, whatever they're making, microphones, books, notepads, phones, lighting, anything. They bought it. Now they need to ship it, right? So here is the question. When shipper has these loads, think like freight, hundreds of thousands of these loads. Now, why these shippers, they don't work directly with the carrier? Although they do work directly with the carrier, think about in the United States, average trucking company owns about between 6 and 8 trucks. Let's keep it simple and say 7 trucks average. These are small trucking companies, hundreds of thousands of these inside the US market. So these people own about 7 trucks. Think these shippers working with the carrier and these people shipping hundreds of thousands of loads. It logically doesn't make any sense to the shipper. Why? Because if this carrier, even this carrier has about 60 trucks or 200 trucks or 500 trucks, if this carrier fails, then that's it, right? The whole logistics, the whole supply chain stops. Think like now shipper in problem, let's say, right? It is in bad situation. Instead of doing that, shippers prefer working with the broker. Why? Because broker has an army of carriers, hundreds of thousands of carriers in his database. So it logically makes sense for a shipper working with just one company, meaning the brokerage company, because this brokerage company has the army of carriers. If this carrier, mess ups, if this carrier fails, and still he has plenty of carriers to choose from. That's the whole game. Okay, shipper makes stuff, and then they have the customer. They must ship it. So now remember this: freight has to move. This is a shipper. Freight has to move. Now let's talk about the broker. We said the broker is the middleman. Now broker knows the sales, knows marketing, and I hate to say that many carriers out there, they don't know how to market their services. They don't know how to sell their services. This is one of the reasons why carriers wanted to work with brokers. Why? Because heavy lifting is already done. They're not doing marketing. They're not looking for a shipper. They're not convincing shipper to work with them. They simply get the load board subscription and hey, hundreds of thousands of loads right in front of them. We'll be talking about this. Now, broker comes to shipper and says, hey, listen, you produce, you do, you make, just do whatever you want to do and then keep doing it. Let me handle the logistics aspect of your business. That's what it is. And he gets the contract and gets all these loads. And then now broker needs to post these loads into load matching platform. Why we call it a load matching platform? Because, well, literally, as it's these load boards matching carriers and a broker. Just think if the carrier looking for a load from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas, and one of the brokers posted this load on one of these load boards, DAT, Truck Stop, 123 load board, posted these loads, and then dispatcher working with the carrier types and has the load board access or load board accesses, I don't know, maybe using 2, 3, 4, I don't know. But then most carriers using 1 or 2 load boards. DAT is a top on the list, obviously, then truck stop and then followed by the 123 load board. Although now 123 load board is kind of becoming unpopular. Most people deciding to get the 123 load board access, using as a load board. Now, brokers posted these loads on the load matching platforms, which is load board. Freight must be assigned. This is broker. Remember the shipper. Freight must move or has to move, right? The freight must be assigned as a broker. Now, broker posts these loads on these load board, load matching platforms, load boards. Now, dispatcher comes in, and again, this dispatcher is not the truck dispatcher works in-house for the carrier. This is an independent freight dispatcher running his or her own independent freight dispatching agency. Now, he or she or this person has access to one of these load boards, and now he's searching for the loads because one of his one of his carriers located in Atlanta, Georgia, looks for load from Atlanta, Georgia to, let's say, Houston, Texas, or Los Angeles, whatever. Now, dispatcher says freight must be dispatched. That's the whole story, right? So we're finding loads, right? Finding loads, booking loads. Now we need to dispatch these loads. Dispatch to who? To carriers. Now, carriers, if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you're fairly new in this game, but these are the people who own these big semi trucks. You have seen those, right? Or these. So carrier, why I pick these 3? Because in the United States, these 3 main markets: van trucks, reefer trucks, and flatbed trucks. These 3 different markets, meaning they haul different stuff. Think about it that way. But then why we have these numbers like 60, 20%, and then 20%? Well, because most of in the United States right now, most of the trucks that you see on the road or the US highways, these are the people running van trucks. Okay. So, and again, maybe you're thinking like, if I become an independent freight dispatcher, should I work with, dry van? Why? Because there are a lot of it. There are a lot of carriers out there, right? There are advantages and disadvantages to each. Okay. So now these are the carriers. And now the whole picture is broker gets the load from a shipper, post these loads on these load matching platforms, load boards, an independent freight dispatcher working closely with the carrier, meaning, they team up and then finding loads for this carrier or carriers. This dispatcher, independent freight dispatching agents, might have multiple trucks or trucking companies that he or she, find loads. Now, this is the entire picture. This is the system. This is how it works. And like the shipper is obviously the top of the line, right? So it makes stuff, then we have loads, and we have a broker gets those loads, post on these load boards or load matching platforms. Dispatcher working closely with the carrier gets those loads. It's basically negotiating these loads from a broker. then assigns these loads to a carrier. Now, freight must be delivered. This is the carrier, right? Now we're moving into the Q&A. And again, if you guys have questions, please let me know. This is the time where Riham says, I have a question about finding a carrier. And again, if you guys have a question, please prepare your questions. I will go over these questions because when I do in my community closed groups that we have, and I will be sharing more into details like in 5 minutes. So then I will, talk about more about the group. And again, I'll be taking more of your questions. So these are the questions coming from the group that I have. Can a dispatcher work with shippers directly? This is the most commonly asked questions when we talk about the shipper. And trust me, some people watching right now, maybe later when we post this video, they will still get confused and they will write something on or comments, on the comment section, and they will say something like, well, we don't know, it's illegal to work with, directly with shipper, the carrier should work with the shipper. Hey, listen. Yes, shipper and the carrier, this is how it should be in the first place. No brokers, no dispatchers. I get it. But then carriers, they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to, talk to these shippers, meaning doing the sales calls. I'm not saying that all of them, they don't know, but most of them, they don't do that. Maybe they know, but then they're not interested in doing the marketing and doing the sales. Now, can dispatcher work with the shippers directly? No. Simple response is no. Why? Well, because it's illegal. The dispatcher contacting a shipper saying, hey, you have loads, I have carriers, let's work. No. Although I'm repeatedly saying that, hey, it's illegal, dispatchers cannot do that, don't do that. And trust me, there will be comments saying, hey, you're teaching some illegal stuff. Dispatchers, no, it's illegal. They can't work directly with shippers. What am I saying? I'm saying exactly the same thing, right? Shippers cannot work directly with shippers. Why? Because they don't have the broker MC or the carrier MC. So then there is a way. We'll talk about this. I think the question number 3. This is slightly different question, but almost the same question. Okay, so there is a way for a dispatcher working with the shipper. We'll talk about this. Now, the first question, the simple response for this is no. Dispatcher cannot work directly with the shipper because in order to shipper work with you, you must have an MC, broker MC, carrier's MC. If you have an MC, it must be active, right? Why? Because of the insurance. If I'm a shipper assigning a load to you, you must have an insurance attached to this MC number. Okay. So for those of you who don't know MC number stands for motor carrier. It's a unique number. Now, second question, and by the way, if you have a question, this is a time to ask whatever the questions you have. Let me know. I'll just pull those questions and then we'll talk about. Can carriers work with shippers directly? Yes. Why? Because and they should. Why? Because they have the MC number. They have active insurance. Now they have no problem hauling these, loads from a shipper. No problem at all. Now, question number 3, can dispatcher connect shippers to carriers? This is where we need to kind of dig in and say yes or no. Why? Well, can dispatcher connect shippers to carriers? Meaning no MC, nothing, and then saying that, hey, I'm calling on behalf of my company, meaning independent freight dispatching company, saying that, hey, I have carriers, let's connect. This is still illegal. You cannot do that. Okay? Then the yes part is, this is where the independent freight dispatcher calls the shipper on behalf of a carrier. So if independent freight dispatcher working with the carrier, there is a dispatcher carrier agreement, then there's a limited power of attorney carrier gives to independent freight dispatcher to use his company, in order to get these shippers on board. Okay, then it's not. Then it's legal to do it, right? The illegal part, this is where you represent your company, and then you're saying, hey, I will connect you and you. This is meaning shipper and carrier. This is where you need a broker MC, right? Broker connects shippers and carriers. Just remember that. Then number 4 is, as a dispatcher, do I need MC or a broker MC? A lot of comments. By the way, I do time to time read comments, or I respond to these comments, but then I read comments. So the reason why I say read these comments, these are not the questions that are asking, but these are the people just helping other people. And I realized that some people just, misleading, is false information out there. Why? Well, one of the comments that I read, in one of my videos, somebody asked, do I need an LLC? I mean, do I need an MC or broker MC? And somebody said, well, in order to access the load board, you need an MC, and yes, dispatcher need MC, and blah, blah, blah. No, dispatcher, they don't need MC nor broker MC. First of all, MC stands for motor carrier. Well, you're not a carrier. Like, you're not a motor carrier. Why? Because you don't have trucks. You don't have a truck, then you don't have an insurance. And if you don't have a truck, then you don't have active insurance policy that attached to your MC. If you wanted to do that, then what's happening? Here are the steps. You buy a truck. I'm not talking about all the legal paperwork, but just like in general. Now, you buy the truck, then obviously apply for the MC, then you apply for, getting the insurance policy. Why? Because you need to activate this MC, and your insurance, has to be attached to this MC number so that, it becomes active. Then you can haul freight. Now, if I have that truck, insurance, MC, then I'm not a dispatcher anymore. I am a carrier now, right? Since dispatchers, we don't have trucks and we don't have, MC numbers, we use carriers MC in order to dispatch loads. Meaning, we remember at the beginning of the video, if you missed, just go back. Once I post this video, go back and watch. This is where, like, you learning the skill aspect, how to find loads and book loads and dispatch loads, helping this carrier, right? So then, he can, get the trucks moving and make money in trucking. Now, when you're finding loads for a carrier, you're using carrier MC. If you're looking at the load board and you, let's say, found a load for this particular carrier from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas, you're using his MC to book this load. You cannot use his MC and book multiple loads to other carriers. You cannot do that. That's illegal. Okay. So there's a lot of, obviously, things that we need to learn. Obviously, we will come back to this, and then we'll do another maybe live training and go into details talking about the double brokerage, double brokering, etc. So those are the things that it's illegal. Okay. Now, you don't need MC. You don't need broker MC. Okay. So I hope, it helps. Let me start taking, questions. I do have, how many? I do have 2 questions. And by the way, if you have questions, let me know. Let me move this slide real quick, and then I'll come back to that slide. So I have a question about how I find carriers. So this question is common in this channel, right? So if you're following this channel or been subscribed to this channel, maybe consuming, I don't know, the content from this channel, that this question is very, very popular. How do I find carriers? Now, here is the deal. Rihan says, I need to get a carrier. Now, in my mind, I had, today's Tuesday, yesterday on Monday, we had, live Q&A inside the community. And I said this when somebody asked me, how do I find carriers? And instantly, this is what comes up to my mind. Now, there are obviously scenarios. And again, Rihan, I'm just like, this is just a hypothesis. I'm just thinking that this is a situation. You know how to dispatch. You have your LLC. You're up and running, but this missing part is the find a carrier. So if you're up and running with your dispatching agency, that means you shouldn't have this problem. Why? You shouldn't have this problem because you're already up and running, and it seems like it's something worked in the past. Maybe you worked with the carrier, and whatever you did to get that carrier, just multiply. Work on that strategy more in order to get the carrier. So that's scenario number one. Then scenario number two is you're fairly new. You get excited about this independent freight dispatching, and you know that two main things that you need. You need a load board. Obviously, not talking about the training. I'm assuming you got the training. You know how to do dispatching and how to structure your business properly. I'm thinking, okay, you need to have a load board access. By the way, I have a 30-day free trial. I'll show you how to get this. So then, load board training or the load board access, then you need carrier. So when you have the load board and you have the carrier, that's it. The problem is fixed. Problem is gone. Now I'm making money. No, absolutely not. Why? Because you don't have an experience, and then you have this fear of losing this carrier. Now, the scenario number two, we talked about the scenario number one, scenario number two. You're fairly new, okay? Then if you're fairly new, you're still structuring, you're still learning, then don't get the carrier yet, okay? Just put it aside. Why? The carrier is the last part. And by the way, finding a carrier is in one way, okay? Getting yes from a carrier is another way. Another problem. And then obviously keeping them in the game is another problem. And getting more of these carriers is another problem. There are a lot of problems. This is a business opportunity. This is why not many people doing this. Most people prefer working 9 to 5. If you feel 9 to 5, if you like employment, this video is not for you. This channel is not for you. This is more of like a business aspect. All about forget about 9 to 5. Just focus on the business aspect. Okay, not an employment opportunity, the business opportunity. That's what it is. Don't focus on the career aspect. You don't need the career. Now, what if you know how to dispatch? You already set up everything. You got the training and everything. You're ready. You need the carrier. The best way to get carrier is to create content. So some people, and by the way, about 50 or 60% of the people who watch my YouTube content, these are the carriers. Yes, there are a lot of carriers watching this, videos from this channel. So what am I doing? I'm talking about the dispatching. And these people, when carriers watch these videos or these live training, they know that, hey, Kamal knows dispatching. Let me contact with the Kamal, and let me send an email, or maybe in the comments I'll ask for the email, or go to my channel and find the email, and then contact me, and then follow me on social media, start DMing me saying, hey, I have trucks, I need your help. Why? Because I'm creating content and I'm showing that, hey, two things I can do. I can dispatch your trucks. I know how to dispatch, and I know an independent freight dispatching agency. I taught many people how to start their independent freight dispatching agency. At the same time, I teach how to become independent freight dispatcher. So if you're interested how to become independent freight dispatcher, now you know I demonstrated, and I'm building a trust with you, that now you know that, hey, this guy can help me. Same thing. The best way is to create content. Okay, Kamal, creating these videos, it takes time. It's not easy. And even it's YouTube, it might take you a year to build, 5 to 10,000 subscribers. And then this is where people start trusting you. But then is there a fastest way? Yes, this is what I teach inside the community. And by the way, it's also, we have the free community if you wanted to join. So inside the community, I teach the TikTok strategy. TikTok works like crazy. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but it works. Yes, you need to know the specifics about like how many times post per day, what are the hashtags, like what's the strategy, all that. Then yes, well, you need to learn those. But then when you have the channel, you created, your account, the TikTok account, you created some content, people watching, people engaging with you, people asking questions. Hey, how do I sign up with you? Hey, I have a sprinter van, I have box truck, I want to work with you. And I've shown, if you, I don't know if you guys saw that video that I did, one of my students, I showed the entire system, what I teach inside the paid community, where one of our students, his name is Olman, like I showed him how to do it, and within 40 days, 45 days, he got up to 5,000 followers. And one of his videos went semi-viral. I think he has more than 400,000 views. On that single video, you will see that he communicated. He talked about, I don't know, more than, I don't even know, but then I can say it's more than 500 carriers. Just go there. Well, I'll share the link for his account, or the TikTok account, when I post this video. So I wasn't prepared to, kind of, showcase his channel. But then it's crazy when people see these videos that, hey, this guy can, deliver the results. Then, asking questions, how can I sign up with you? And then he says, DM me. And these people DMing the student, and then he sends the link, which is the sales funnel. This is another topic for another day, but then this is simply a customer's journey. This is how he pulls those carriers into his world and then starts serving. I know it's a lot, but then it's a business. It has to be, like, there are a lot of moving pieces, and this is why I divided into two pieces, or the two aspects, if you will, the skill aspect and then the business aspect. Now we kind of switched gears and we're talking about the business aspect, but again, finding carriers, no problem. Even I have a video. It says finding carriers within 5 minutes. Yes, and I demonstrated. It's here in this channel. Finding carriers within 5 minutes. Type and you will see I have that video. Finding carriers, it's like one piece or one part of the equation. There are a lot of moving pieces. You find it, then what? Then now you need to kind of introduce yourself, right? And this is where, like, I don't teach cold calling. I hate cold calling. I rather prefer like people coming to me and saying, hey, I want to work with you, and I'm like, okay, I decide if I want to work with you or not. Trust me. Why? Well, when you call, making these cold calls, a lot of people teaching, I see this, and I hate to see, by the way, downloading this list from FMCSA. I shown you because people ask me, how can I do that? I'm like, okay, cool. Go here. This is FMCSA. This is how you pull this and download. Then what? These people, it's not even segmented. What I mean by saying segmented, well, who do you target? Like, do you want to work with who? Box truck owners, sprinter van owners, refrigerated, like temperature control freight? Is it the car haulers? Is it drive-in, flap? You don't know. When you download these lists, they're not segmented. You just have this fairly new into the game MCs, and then you start calling these people, and then on the other line, these people, like, very new in the game, and they don't know what to say to you because they haven't moved a single load yet. If they did, they still less than 6 months, and getting loads for these carriers, it's not that easy. And you are new in the game, and okay, getting these carriers on board, maybe it's easy, but serving them, it's hard. But then we have these experienced carriers. It's very hard to get them into the game, but then obviously it's much easier to work with them because they know what to do and how all this works. Hope that helps. And again, guys, have questions, please let me know. And again, Miss V says hello to Miss V, and then also says MC motor carrier. Yes, exactly. Now, Camille says, how do I learn dispatch? How do I learn dispatch? There are two ways to learn dispatch. One is obviously the free way, right? Free way, Google is your best friend. And then Google has this brother called YouTube University, whatever you call it. So then, yes, you can learn, but then the missing aspect, I think, is, and I think you'll agree with this, is the mentor, is the guidance, right? And then obviously the proper structure of the training. Remember, I said, like, learn the skill aspect, then go to the business aspect. Skill aspect has this, the concept, the tools, then load boards. Then you have this business aspect, and business aspect has the marketing, then the systems, then it has the sales. See, like a lot of moving pieces. Like we need to like separate these, like pull these two aspects and just pick one, and from that just dissect and pick one and start learning. So that's the free way of learning. It's not organized, but hey, you can read some blog posts, maybe it's out there, free training out there, free groups, a lot of free groups out there. By the way, I do have a free group, and then I'll share it with you. So, and then paid version, right? Or the paid, I would say option. The paid option, this is where you enroll into the paid communities, hiring a mentor. It depends. Some mentor will ask for $100, and then he will deliver 100 worth of $100 results, right? And then you have the mentor who says 10,000, and then obviously delivers 10,000 worth of result that you're looking for. And I do know some people hold on to your hand and then said, hey, here are all the systems you need, and do this, and you will have the independent freight dispatching agency. So free option, paid option. Free option, straightforward, YouTube, Google, social media, blog posts, whatever. Then free communities. Paid, obviously you paid, and then you start learning. Okay, it's more organized. And then I think when you pay, you have the skin in the game. That's one thing. That's what I prefer, obviously. Although I do have the free group that you can join. But then, this is where, like, I had a call right, before this, live training, one of the awesome human beings that I ever met. And I said, well, you paid for, paid for the community, because I have a paid community. And I said, it's good because you have now, skin in the game, right? Now you see you reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to learn this. I want to get up and running with this, right? So you advertise, you said that, hey, within 6 months, I will get up to 5K. And then from there, like we scale the business. So yes. So now see, you're moving, right? Now, let's take this. Hope that helps, Camille. If you have a question, please let me know. Do you have a good video on a certificate of insurance and making the broker certificate holder? Well, I don't. I think I do have a paperwork video, but I don't think it goes into details talking about the certificate of insurance. But if you post right after this video, if you post and saying, hey, Kamal, if you can do this video, that'll be awesome. And I do have a list of videos when subscribers and viewers who want the topic, if they want me to go into details like dissecting, going into smaller pieces and talk about any topic that you have or might have, just let me know and I'll take it. Yeah, that's good. So then, and again, by the way, do you have the video certificate insurance making the broker certificate holder? Real quick, when you have a carrier, you call the carrier's insurance. Most of these insurance companies now you can do online. It's just like carrier will share the dashboard. Think about the portal, right? You just go and then just say, hey, request a, what is it? Adding this certificate holder and additionally insured. Some brokers, they ask for this additionally insured in broker certificate. They will give you within like less than 5 minutes now. I don't know like how many carriers you have. The carrier works with type of insurance companies, but it's very, very quick. Like back in the days, you have to call it, then wait, and they will, email it. Yeah, so it's very fast. Making these insurance certificates, boom, it's just like 2 minutes, and you have that, and you can forward to the broker, and they can also do forward to your broker as well. But again, it's all boils down to what type of insurance company your carriers have. Now, let's talk about, Taylor says, what are some good things to put into the contracts? Good question. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, let me know. So the question, what should I put on the contracts? I think you need to focus on more of a to me, it's deliverables. I will do this for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. No 24/7, 365 calls. No emergency calls. No calls after 10 p.m. or what. Like you need to be precise. And carrier must understand on the call you're talking to a carrier, you must address these points saying, hey, like I will do these for you. And this is why we have the contract. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. So if you need extra, we need to talk about this. And then from the carrier, what you need from a carrier, just list all the things that you need from a carrier, right? If you need to access, then what type of the platforms they use, how they're passing these usernames and password to you, like anything in between, like sensitive information, you need to talk about those. That's pretty much it. Well, and again, we do provide these contracts to our paid members and students, but then, hey, I would highly recommend working with an attorney or small business attorney to draft the contract for you. Just let them just go over, pay a couple $100, and then let them know that, hey, this is the contract that I have. Just go over, and that's it. Just peace of mind. Okay. Hope that helps. And again, remember I said at the end, I will have the special invitation, guys. I do have the Dispatch Carrier Academy. This is free, by the way. We have about how many? As you can see, 763 members right now. We're growing fast. If you want to be part of this community, this is where. And as you can see, we have at the top, where it says Dispatch Trucks Academy. We have a community. We have a classroom. We have the calendar. This is like calendar. This is where you will find these weekly coaching calls. And at the right side, if you can see, there is a help and support. And I also offer one-on-one onboarding calls. Just join whatever the questions you might have for free. Some people wanted to pay me to have this, one-on-one, coaching sessions or whatever the questions they might have. Hey, 1 hour of your time, I'll pay this. You don't have to. Don't pay me anything. If you want to be part of this community, it's free. Join. This is the link. school.com/Dispatch Trucks Academy. If you join, you will find, there you go, my first post, your 30-day free trial. Why you need 30-day free trial? Like if you're looking for the load board, there is one of the best load boards out there offering 30-day free trial. Just use that 30-day free trial, and you can get the carrier saying, hey, I do have a load board, it can serve you. Another thing, you can create content to attract those carriers. Like imagine you have this 30 days. One of my members asked me this question, said, Kamal, what do you think if I sign up for this free 30-day free trial, what will happen at the end of the 30-day free trial? As I said, it will end. That's it. Then you have to pay for the whatever the subscription you have. And he said, what if I don't want to pay it? And I said, cancel it. Okay, so if I cancel, then I use it for what? I said, that's the real question. That's a good question. So use it for creating content. Imagine you have this, for free, 30 days, one of the leading, companies out there, like giving you the access for 30-day free trial. Sign up for it, right? Don't pay anything, obviously. And then start creating content on YouTube, on social media, and then attract carriers to you, and put the link on the description and on the bio, whatever, and then start talking to carriers. So if you have a carrier, then obviously go ahead and start dispatching and start paying for the load board if you wanted to. It's inside the group. By the way, let me share this so it will. Oh, there you go. Cool stuff. And again, let me take back and see if you guys have a question. Okay, let me see. If a carrier called you at 2 a.m. about the flat tire, how much would you charge him? Well, this is a great question, and obviously this is a specific question. Cool, I'll take it. Well, first of all, I don't do these 2 a.m. calls in the morning. When I was a carrier, then obviously I'm open 24/7, 365 for my drivers. Whenever they need me, I'm there because I'm running my business, right? The responsibility. But when I'm working with a carrier, like we have a business. So the more they need my time, the more money they should pay. Isn't that true? Right? When we have like free stuff, and then we have this medium stuff, and then we have the premium stuff. But for the premium, they pay. So if they need me 2 a.m. flat tire, if this driver don't know how to handle this flat tire, if he wants me to kind of navigate all this thing and to help him to solve this problem, the question now is, do you specifically ask me? Because like I have experience, I have a lot of carriers. I don't do that, But if I do, then I have the number in mind. But then don't compare that number to you. I'm not going to reveal that number to you. Why? Because now you'll be thinking, okay, when I start dispatching and I will, ask this, you will learn, you will get the experience. But again, I don't do 2 a.m. calls, okay? Other than, let's say, company drivers. But hey, what's your worth? Like, think about 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You'll be on the phone until like from 2 a.m. and then you fixing this problem for about 3 hours. What's the worth, right? So how much should I charge for this person? Say that emergency calls will be $500 per call. I don't know, $700 per call, $200 per call. It's your call, right? You just take it and let this carrier know that, hey, if you call me after 12 a.m., before 12 a.m., 12 p.m., 11 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever, until the midnight. Let's make it clear. So until the midnight, it will be, I don't know, $200 per call from 9 p.m. until 11:59 p.m. Will be $200 for emergency call. It depends. So then after midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you call me, you wake me up, middle of the night, I wake up, and then obviously you need to pay me, I don't know, let's call it $600. Okay? So, great question. Now, and how much is your paid group? So let me show you the paid group. Let me go there real quick. Okay, so the paid group. So you can also go to the Dispatch Tracks Academy, be part of it, and then once you joined, then you will have the option. As you can see at the right side, it says, see, on right above the 763 members, see there's like help and support, and then at the top it says join Dispatch Trucks, and then you will have the numbers there, and then you will see which one you prefer. That's basically it from me. If you guys don't have the questions, I will just end. If you have questions while I'm here, just let me know, and I will start taking your questions. Are we good? We learned something new. Are you guys liking it? Should we do these types of the meaning, the format for this? What is it for the call? Are we good? Okay, let me see. Let me just stop this. There you go. Well, then, if you don't have questions, guys, thank you so much. And again, I do my best to kind of keep this, in mind that, hey, we'll be doing like, I don't know, once a week, twice a week. Things get busy. We're running these two communities, free and paid community. So I know that we need some content on YouTube, and you guys have been amazing asking these questions. Thank you for the interaction. And again, let's meet on next week on Tuesday. Prepare all of your questions. I'll do my best to prepare awesome live training for you. Other than that, until then, bye for now.